Hi, I'm Ashot. I call this episode Internal Clock. It was a strange heat. The temperature was certainly very high. However, either due to the humidity or the immediate proximity of the sea, it didn't make it uncomfortable or unbearable. Rather, it was a grateful awareness of summer, sun, and nature. When I'm in Mallorca, I try to regularly spend time with the sun and seawater to fill the body with the necessary vitamin D from the inside and alkalize it with the salt water from the outside. Coming out of the sea and falling into a comfortable lounger, I immersed myself either in my own thoughts or in some other dimension. There, among the noise of sea waves and the periodic squawking of seagulls, a child's voice was heard. "Mom, I don't understand," the child was saying. "It's Saturday today, right?" "Yes, Stefan, it's Saturday," the mother replied. "Well then, how come? Did we have our breakfast at home this morning? Was it the same Saturday? And we took a taxi to the airport today? And then you bought me new flip-flops? And we checked into the hotel still today and had a lunch? And now we are sunbathing by the sea and it's still the same day, Saturday?" "Yes, honey," the mother replied. "What surprises you?" "Mom, it feels like we've been here for a week." And then I realized that I wasn't in any astral world and that this was a conversation between my beach neighbors, a mother with a little son. And I also realized that little Stefan had let his imagination run too wild. Well, yes, what's surprising? This is all the same day, Saturday. Well, right? Let's give it a shot. Haven't you ever had a feeling like little Stefan? Haven't you ever felt like him that you've been in a new place for a week already? Or on the contrary, when returning home from a new place, time somehow passes faster? I discovered that little Stefan is absolutely right. Here's the thing. A certain event happens to a person. This event has a pace, the speed at which it is felt by the person, and the event also has intensity, the strength with which it's felt by the person. And interestingly, the internal clock of a person, with which they feel this very pace and intensity, is not constant. A person's internal clock is capable of changing both, if you want, the speed of its ticking and the volume of its ticking. And they change these two parameters not randomly, but depending on the factor of novelty. The novelty of the situation is the key to feeling the pace and intensity of an event. Speaking about the pace of event, I realized that our sense of time is not dictated by seconds, minutes, or hours of the wall clock at all. It is not constant, but changes depending on the situation. As in the process of digitizing and encoding music on a computer, internal time is set as if by the so-called bit rate or consciousness, which, like a processor, cuts the information of the event. The passage of time, thus, is felt depending on the number of processed information bits. The more units of information are processed, the faster the internal clock ticks compared to the wall clock, and the more time seems to have passed. The newer the situation, the higher the bit rate is set, and the more bits of information the brain can encompass in a unit of wall clock time. That's why, after one day in a new place on vacation, little Stefan felt like he and his mom had been here for a week. With the pace of the event, the sense of time, everything is clear. Now, speaking about the intensity of events, I realized that the intensity of feeling an event, the volume of the internal clock ticking, is also not always the same. The intensity increases many times in the present compared to the past and future. You can imagine it as a long clown balloon filled with water with periodically pinched fragments that are more inflated with water than the main body. These balloons represent the events of the past, present, and future. So the reality balloon of the present is simply huge compared to the small balloons of the past and small balloons of the future. Here is the highest intensity of perception, or the loudest ticking of the internal clock. Being in this big balloon of the present, one needs to be able to visualize the smaller balloons of the past and of the future. And knowing this, you understand that you shouldn't jump to conclusions based only on the intensity of the given situation. It's always a little bit inflated. Already tomorrow, looking back here, you won't feel even a fraction of all this. And here you remember an interesting philosophical saying. You cannot change a given situation as such. You can only replace it with the next new situation.